In this segment, we'll explore the final two animation editors, the Dopesheet and the Action Editor. Since you're already familiar with the timeline in the graph editor, you'll essentially have mastered 80 to 90% of what you'll need to know about the Dopesheet. In fact, the timeline is just a simplified version of the Action Editor. So where can we find the Dopesheet? Like with the other editors, you can split the screen and select the Dopesheet from the Editor Type menu. You can also select it quickly by pressing Shift F12. Now another way you can open up the Dopesheet is if you already have a graph editor open, simply move your mouse over the graph editor area and press Control Tab to toggle between Dopesheet and the graph editor. Within the Dopesheet, you'll notice we have a drop-down menu here, which allows you to choose from various subtypes of editors within the Dopesheet itself. In this video, we'll focus on the Dopesheet and the Action Editor. We're going to be skipping the other option as they're beyond the scope of this course. Now these two editors are nearly identical in use, however they hold one distinct difference. The Dopesheet provides a summary of all that is animated within the scene. Starting from the summary here at the very top, which shows if we have a key on that specific frame, traveling all the way down to the bone or object level, and even down to the channel level. Whereas the Action Editor's role is to edit a specific rig or object's animation data, or its action. Because of this focused role, it makes it difficult to retime or animate around objects that need to time or interact with each other. For example, in this scene, we have 3 assembly arms putting together objects for another robot. With the Action Editor open, I'll select this arm off to the side. Now let's say I wanted to retime this arm to place its object later on in time. I can take these keyframes and shift them 10 or 15 frames forward. Now watch what happens when we hit play. Now notice how the arm retimed the way we wanted it to, but the object it was holding was on another rig or object's animation data, and we lose all that interactivity. So it's much easier to keep track of all those objects within the Dopesheet, and if you ever need to focus on a singular object, it's great to go into the Action Editor. Now let's take a look at more of the features that the Action Editor has for us. Now, as I just led on, the Action Editor is where we have focused access to an object's animation data or actions. Those can be found in the drop-down menu here. By default, Blender will name these actions by the name of the object followed by the word action. Now, similar to the importance of renaming collections, objects, or bones, it's just as important to name an action to something you'll understand later. While a cube moving from side to side is a bit of a harmless case, if, for example, you're making a bunch of actions for a game character with walk cycles, run cycles, idles, or maybe even attack animations, you want to keep these recognizably named when exporting or linking between files. Now let's say you don't want this action on this object anymore. You can unlink an action by hitting the little X here. Now it hasn't been deleted from Blender just yet. We can see all the actions available under this drop-down menu here. If we click it, we can see we have the cube side-to-side action available. However, now it has this little 0 next to it. That little 0 means there's no object currently using this data. And the way Blender works is if this data isn't being used, it will be deleted when Blender closes next. So looking back at our hypothetical game character, what if we have a character that has multiple actions that we want to keep around? What we need to do then is flag this data so Blender doesn't delete it. And we do that by hitting this little shield icon here. When we do that, it places an F next to this action. This F means it has a fake user applied and will prevent the data from being deleted when Blender closes. Now we can start a new action on an object a couple of different ways. One is to hit the new button here and it'll start a new action with the default naming criteria. The other way is just to start animating an object, and Blender will create the action for you. If you want to duplicate an action, you just select the icon with the 2 little pieces of paper here. There are a few visual cues in the Dopesheet and the Action Editor that are important to know. You'll see below here that the key shapes are being represented differently. This is an indication of the handle type this key is using. Diamond being a free handle. This little diamond with the corners cut off the top and bottom are aligned. A square is for a vector handle. The circle with a dot in the middle are for automatic handles. and these circles are for auto-clamped. Now you'll notice some keys have a yellow bar connecting to the next key. This represents a hold in the animation, where the values are not changing between keys. As you can see, I'll turn on the values for the editor, and as I scrub the timeline, you'll see that these channels are not changing in value. The green line connecting these keys here represent the interpolation type as something other than Bezier. It could be either linear or constant or any of the other interpolation types. Now, if this is distracting with all these visual cues, you can turn them off in the View menu here. As a final bit of info, you may come across your keys looking a different color. We can access these by hitting the R button. Here we can see a list of animation terms like breakdown, moving hold, extreme, jitter, and generated. Selecting one of these changes the color of the key. None of these have any effect on your final animation. It's just a visual effect, like another set of markers, used to remind yourself of something important in your animation. So use them as you see fit.